Welcome to another episode from Inside Treasures. My name is Phoebus and I love to challenge myself and those around me for the purpose of growth. This podcast is about helping you to heal, to change, and grow. By listening to this episode today, you're going to learn about changing and about acting small. What is acting small? What do I mean by acting small? Acting small is about doing little things that help you progress and change and move into a direction that you want to move to. This notion of acting small, it can be applied to almost anything. Whether you want to learn something new, whether you want to improve something, whether you want to create something, whether you want to get better at something, or let go of limiting behaviors. Whatever that change you're trying to achieve, make it small. Make it small and make it consistent. Drastic and bold changes can be amazing. They can revolutionize your life, but without persistence, this notion of, I'm too excited, I'm going to do it once and then I will never do it again, usually tends to fail. While acting small is easier to build consistency and to keep going and to keep doing things. For example, if I want to be healthier and eat healthier, if I eat the healthiest meal only once and then the rest of the week I eat junk food, it doesn't really make a big difference. In this episode, we're talking about long-term lasting change that is consistently maintainable. In Greek, we have a saying, and it's about making a hole in the water. And what that means is you don't achieve anything. And that's how I see big changes happening. Big changes are about something drastic that actually has a short-term effect that ends up not making a long-term change. Isaac Newton said that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. But how can we apply this in psychology? In psychology, we get the resistance spurring from the ego. Whether it is in the form of fear, in the form of pain, in the form of us trying to protect ourselves, our ego will rise. The ego is very good at keeping the homeostasis, making sure that things are consistent and things are not really sticking out. That's why sometimes it can be really hard to change. Because the minute we try to change, our internal thermostat says, there's something going wrong here. Let's bring that back to where it was. So the ego will bring that friction, and sometimes we fight with our friction. We don't need to fight. We just need to work with it. And when we're acting small, we don't allow that ego to trip off. Because when that ego notices that huge difference, it goes on panic mode. But actually, when we do little changes every single day, tiny bit at a time, the ego stays at ease. It doesn't really register the differences. Our main way of dealing with that resistance is to keeping that ego at bay, making sure we don't trip ourselves off and panic or fear or feel insecure. We're keeping the mind occupied, and as the ego is distracted, we move forward little by little. And what happens is that with cumulative changes, those changes that they add up, we slowly build an acceleration. We build an acceleration that drives us to go to the direction where we want to go. The minute we choose to move, fear can arise, doubt can arise, insecurity arises. But I want to move, then move. Do it slowly. Accumulate your energy. Get yourself together before you start. The one main thing is we don't really know where things will take us. When we don't know what's out there, when we don't know what will come, that can create insecurity in ourselves. That trips off our ego, which says, whoa, hold on a minute there. I don't want to go there. There's no way we're going to go there. We're not making that change because we don't know what's going to happen. If you actually know where you were going to end up, that can be scary as well. When we're in a specific situation and we have this vision or this goal of going somewhere, of doing something, it's great. But actually, if you know where this path would lead you to all the changes that would happen with you, that can be really scary because from where we are to where we want to be and where we actually end up, they're three different places. And the best and most familiar place from our vantage point is where we are. We want to change because we're suffering. We want to change things because of where we are. And things can be better. But even when we put ourselves into that situation, our ideal place, we can see that even that can be a scary place. If you look back in your life, you can think, oh, remember when I did this, I thought this would happen, but in the end that happened. And if you knew from the beginning that that would happen, whatever that is, then that can really put you off from starting. And of course, when we start from our starting point, it all seems like a mountain. It's huge. Acting small helps us to build our confidence and competence. It stops our ego from worrying, from being tripped up and trying to protect us. It will still show up, but like I said, in a smaller way. And when you're doing small things, and your ego is saying, oh, okay, so we can do that. There's no threat here. That's fine. That's fine. But when you create change consistently, when you keep following up on acting small, then that adds up. And day by day, we become better as people. Day by day, we grow. When we are afraid, it's very easy for us to feel weak. When we doubt ourselves, of course, we're going to feel insecure. So you see, doubting thoughts create insecurity, fear creates doubt, and insecurity creates weakness. And that element of fear can keep us stuck. We become too self-absorbed about what's happening in our own world. We think in ways that they don't help us to move forward. That's another reason for acting small. When we're stuck especially in fear or in confusion, then we don't know what we want to do. Then it's really hard. We're being indecisive. We're not taking the steps that we need to take. And then what happens? We remain where we are, surrounded by fear, insecurity, doubt, and we remain stuck. As we have those guards all around us, they're telling us, you stay where you are. We know you want to go there. We know you want to be free, but we're not going to let you to be free. You're going to stay here, right here. And if you try to do a runner, we're going to make sure you stay exactly where you are. Because we're the guards here. We're here to protect you. That's part of the ego being surrounding us and helping us in a way to be safe. But at the same time, it can keep us from going where we want to go. It can keep us from building relationships. It can keep us from growing in our career. It can keep us from being healthy. It can keep us from so many different things just because a change, the big change, is too drastic. But when we can find those little things that we can do, when we start to exert that control, when we take a little tiny step towards the gods, and then another one, and another one, slowly the gods begin to move with us. So we're moving to that direction where we want to go. Fear will still come, doubt will still come, insecurity will still come. All those things, that confusion will come. But as long as we keep taking steps, we're moving forward. And it's better to move than to be stuck. I know that at times we can move and we can swap directions and keep moving around chasing our tails. And that's also the other extreme because that keeps us stuck as well. But actually being stuck, being unable to act, unable to move, unable to do the things that we want to do, being incapacitated, that's what I'm talking about. From the effect of fear, of insecurity, of doubt, oh, there's no way I can do that. It's like asking a child to reach on a high shelf. It's too high for them. They can't reach it. Even if you put a chair, it's still too high. And part of this acting small is about us growing up. But also with every little small action, it's like putting another step on a ladder. And if you put enough steps, then the child can reach up. The main concept I'd like you to take away from this is that fear, doubt, insecurity can stop us from moving. When we're willing to act big towards a big goal, then we don't even want to start. There's too much effort, there's too much fear. But when we can choose tiny little things that we can do on a daily basis, then we move forward. And then we can overcome that fear, that anxiety, that insecurity, that doubt. Because on every little step that we're taking, we're building that confidence within and the trust in ourselves that yes, we can. When we start small, it's like we're creating a little crack in a pond, and we allow that fresh water to come in. Once we make that little, small, tiny crack, then it starts to erode. And that little tiny crack, every time we act, becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And that allows the fresh water to come into the pond. and to drive all that old, stale water away. And in time, it replaces the water of the pond, and then you have a fresh spring water. Day after day after day, we're rotting, ever so slightly, ever so tiny. Those fears, those insecurities, those doubts, those anxieties. But I'm in a hurry. I want to really change. I want to really quickly change my life around. I have to be bold. I have to take things. Can you handle it? If you're in such a hurry, do you think you can handle fast change? Do you think you'll be able to? I wish you to. And you can try it. And try again to do big changes. But like I said, usually big changes, they're very hard to find the motivation and energy and strength to do them. So this is about the things you have been feeling you wanted to change, and although you know you need a big change, you've been unable to change. And that's about the starting point. The starting point is about acting small. So find something small and make that change and make it consistent. A lot of the times when it comes to big changes and acting bold is that concept of enthusiasm. We get pumped up, we get so pumped up that we're like, yeah, we're definitely going to do this, and this, I will never do what I've done before. And then that enthusiasm deflates. And when that enthusiasm deflates, our motivation deflates. And then we don't have a lot of oomph behind what we wanted to change. And what happens? We give up. We fail. We think, well, it's not meant to be. Well, this is who I am. We're just never going to make it. And this is not the kind of psychology we want to have, especially when we're trying to change things and move forward and do what we want to do, but we've been unable to do up till now. When I was younger, I wanted to go out with women, be with women, but I found it very hard when I was interested in a woman to actually have a conversation with them. I was too self-conscious, too self-absorbed, feeling too insecure, doubting myself for whatever the reasons what they were. It doesn't really matter. But what mattered to me was that I wanted to be with someone, but I found it too difficult for me to express myself in the presence of someone that I liked. So at some point I got this fancy idea into my head. I thought, how about I start going on dates, quote unquote, with women that I do know, with women who are my friends, who I don't have any attraction towards. I like them. I like them because they're my friends. I like them because we can have a good time. But it was about that notion of me putting myself at ease with being surrounded by women, with spending time more with women, with understanding them, with listening to them, with talking to them. So the means to an end became me being more of a social person, me actually understanding people more, me understanding myself. But it became more about the person I was talking to. I was frightened of my own shadow. I couldn't really engage in a conversation. And in general, by acting small, by seeing those friends that I have, it built a confidence in me, saying, well, you had a normal conversation with your friend. It doesn't have to be a big deal. It's about making small changes and starting today. Big changes, usually we try to find those ideal conditions that will allow us and enable us to get to that point. While small changes about what can I do today? Where can I start today doing something simple and small that can help me move forward? It's about working with what we have from where we are, because nothing else will change. Drastic changes usually require you to be on that level already. Having a vision of that is great. Knowing where you're going is great. Knowing the things that you need to be doing is great. So if I want to, for example, to exercise, and I see myself running 5K, that is great. I'm thinking I'll be running 5K. If I go tomorrow and try to run 5K, I might make it, I might injure myself. It's too much. But if I start running 1K a day, for example, 500 meters a day, for a week, for a month, whatever, it's small, it's still achievable. And with time, my stamina improves. And then with time, increase that and actually keep going and keep going and keep going. And then all of a sudden, I find myself being able to run 5K. If I start from day one and run 5K, it's too much. For me, it's too much. Call me soft, whatever it is. It's too much to start from day one. When you build it slowly, then you build that confidence, then you build that competence, then you build that stamina. whether that's physical or psychological, it comes down to the consistency. If I put too much effort and I get too frightened, then I don't want to do this for a while. Ooh, this is too much for me. Give me some space. So the ego comes in, the fear comes in, and we need that space to recover. As we progress, we can keep pushing that boundary. We can increase the difficulty. We can intensify the change as we progress. We can go from tiny to small, little bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Make it harder with time. But as we build confidence and competence, how big or how small something is actually has to do all with our state of mind. Because as we know, like the things that I find difficult that you might know, and the things that you find difficult that I might be doing, and I find them to be very easy. Part of it might be talent. Part of it might be the fact that I've trained myself more on it. But the thing to take away is that with time we become better. With time we become more accustomed. With time we become more capable and competent on what we're doing. It takes practice and dedication and consistency, but we learn to be better. When we're willing to put ourselves in that uncomfortable situation, we will get good at it with time and practice and dedication and acting small and trying it over and over again. Repetition is the key. And the size of things, like I said earlier, it just depends on how we feel. If I feel that it's just too much to go for a run because I have to put on my shoes and my socks and I have to do it early in the morning before I start working, I don't really want to go running. But if I'm in a different state and thinking of where I want to be, and I think actually I want to feel very fit, I want to be able to be healthy and to feel invigorated. And the way for me to do that is through running. So I'm going to start running, and I'm going to start small. The way I picture running now has nothing to do with me putting my shoes or applying any effort, but it's driving me towards something that I want to be, that change. And that's why having whys and reasons we're doing the changes are important. Pain can push us forward, but also trying to get something different in our life can help us. In summary, when we try to act big, a lot of times we trip our ego, we trip our insecurities, which makes us stop from progressing. For a lot of us, we don't have the strength to act big. So let's start with acting small, because then we're making a start. Then we're beginning the process of change, of moving. And once we start, what we want to do is repeat over and over again. And with that consistency, we bring momentum, we bring growth, we bring progress, because we're after a long-lasting change. Not a small fad that we did for a couple of days and then it didn't matter. Because you know what? At the end of the day, these things, they don't even work. Why did they not work? Was it because perhaps we tried too much? Was it perhaps because we tripped our ego and made us feel afraid, insecure? Was it perhaps because we didn't have a go too many times for us to begin to learn and understand internally, in an internal way versus an external way? That way we avoid the yo-yo-effect that comes from drastic changes. Yo-yo-effect comes when we go too far and then there's this rubber band just pulls us and snaps us back to where we started. It's like you've gone way too far, my friend. And this is the leash that the ego holds and tells you, you get back here where you were. And what that happens is we keep having arguments with ourselves. We keep fighting with ourselves. It's like, no, I want to go there. And the ego tells you, no, you're going to stay here because it's frightening out there. You're not going to go out there. And if you dare to touch that line with your drastic big changes, we're going to make sure that you get back here. Because where here is where it's safe. This is your internal thermostat saying, we're not going there. We are not going there. It's too far from where we are. It's too different. It's tripping off all the alarms. There are things going on. Danger, danger, danger. That's what happens with big change most of the time. At least that's what's happened with me. With a little change, you're with your ego. Your ego is on your leash. You're walking slowly. Get your way towards where you want to go. And then the drastic change happens with time. So yeah, within a year, within 3 months, within a year, the change will be massive. But from week to the next, it's not that big. So it keeps us keep pushing forward. Yeah, I get that, like an objection is like, don't get me wrong, because there are times which we have to say, enough. I've had enough with this. And we draw the line and we say, no more. But even then, we take it a day at a time. And that's starting small, taking a day at a time. That comes along with addictions. I think even Russel Brand has spoken about this. I remember reading an interview from him, and he was saying, it's all about what I will manage to do today. It's about being sober today. Whether it's for drugs or alcohol or whatever it is, addictions play that long-term effect. It's like, well, I want to quit from today for the rest of my life. It's too big. It's too huge. It's like, you're telling me I won't be able to have this substance for the rest of my life? Yes, I've had enough, but this is just huge. But when we take it a step at a time, a day at a time, a craving at a time, that's acting small. We have that view that we no longer want to do this, but we're not placing it on time. We're just saying now, the next time. I've drawn the line. I'm no longer doing this, yes. But also, I'm taking it slowly. I'm taking it small. The next time this comes to me, I can be calm. I can do something else. And all I have to do is deal with the next craving. And try to think into your life. Think back. What has stopped you from acting in the past? What kind of emotions stop you from doing the things that you wanted to do? What kind of actions you didn't take that you could have taken because they were just too bold? What could you have done instead? Now think of something that you want to change in your life. Something that you have had enough of. Think of something small that you can do today that can help you move forward. Something that you can do today, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. And then just keep doing that for a while. And when you feel confident and competent with that, then raise the bar a little bit and say, now that I'm doing this, what else can I do on top of that that can help me move even further away? That it's a little bit bigger than the small action. Because now we have momentum, now we've built habit, now we've built competence, now we've already progressed. What is it that you're going to do? And like an ancient Chinese proverb says, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Take your first step, and then another and another. Please share this podcast with anyone you think may benefit. Until next time, let peace guide your life, love guide your heart, and reason guide your thoughts.